a special edition of First and 12. The expanded college football playoffs. What Big 12 teams have the best shot? Can both Utah and BYU make it? And who goes on to win it all? Our hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports Zone.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Hope all of you are having a fantastic weekend. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry with you on First and 12. And you know, it's been a bye week for BYU football and Utah football as the local teams got the chance to enjoy Big 12 action like all of us this weekend around the Big 12 conference. And, you know, the bye weeks came at a good time for both teams because both groups very banged up. They're having successful seasons, even though Utah's feels far different at 4-1 than BYU's 5-0. Both teams, you know, feeling the nicks and bruises, if you will, of a Power 4 schedule. And BYU, even though they're riding high at the moment, they got to get some guys healthy, and because they lost one of their key guys that you caught up with recently on JJ and Alex.
Yeah, it's Connor Pay, and, you know, frankly, after the injury happened, I mean, full disclosure, just pull back the curtain here, Mitch, like, we asked Connor how he wanted to treat it because, you know,
Sure.
we're dealing with him personally. We're dealing with the team, you know, in a way. And you know, something different happened this week, and that was I'm totally comfortable talking about it. So let's just go on, and then I'll talk about it. I'll tell everybody. And we're kind of like, well, are you sure? Because, like, we'll handle it however you want. And he goes, look, it's my body, and I'm comfortable talking about it. And so there you go. And this is what it was. We started off the interview. You get exactly what the injury was. You get how it happened. Here's what Connor Pay said about that injury against Baylor and what the prognosis is.
You want to update Cougar fans on what happened and what your status
Sure.
is?
Yeah, so kind of unfortunate, you know, on our second series, the first play of our second series of the game. Doing a zone combo block I've done a million times. You know, unfortunately tried to put force through my foot and it popped on me a little bit, and so unfortunately I fractured my foot. So I'll have surgery this week. They'll put a screw in it, and then you know, 6-week timetable is the goal. So looking at the Utah game for a return.
Total bummer for Connor Pay to suffer that injury because, you know, a year ago this time he was going through a season where he felt that was his last year at BYU. He had no intentions to be in this spot at BYU for one more ride. And when he said that to you guys, because you've been catching up with him weekly for the second season, and I thought back to, you know, one of the reasons he wanted to run it back was he wanted to be part of a winning team because winning teams produce guys to the NFL. He's part of that winning team now, and he's graded out well. He's the 6th best pass blocking center in college football by Pro Football Focus grades. And, you know, and then he has this setback. And I hope, man, that he can get back for that 6-week timeline to be back for the Utah game. That would be epic. It kind of makes me feel like that might be optimistic, but you know, but still, I appreciate the transparency because now you move forward and you say, hey, Sonny Mocassini or Bruce Mitchell, whoever ends up getting that starting nod at center, you know, you're the guy, and you get to get the spotlight and be celebrated like, okay, this is your chance to be a starter at center and be the guy that's snapping the football to Jake Retzlaff in this BYU offense. So, you know, that's just kind of Connor Pay's personality, and I really respect that. That's why he's one of the best interviews on this BYU team.
Well, yeah, he's one of my favorite interviews we've ever had, and he's really an open book about it. But it opens up the conversation. Guess what? We asked him that question. He told us the answer, and, yeah, it was a story for that day. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, Sure. That was the update. That's what we got. And you know what? After that, now we know, right? Yep. There's the injury. Here's the timeline. And guess what we're not going to do? In 2 weeks, I'm not going to go, how's the screw feeling in your foot? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I'm not going to – we can't ask him about that. Like, there's no point because he said, I'm hoping to get back by week 6. I'm not going to go, has the screw fused to the bone? Like, these are not the things that I'm going to ask him. You know what I mean? Especially because the timeline is a 6-week turnaround, and he's really hoping for it.
And that's where you then get into the whole – HIPAA thing where it's like, hey, tell me about the screw.
No,
and,
thanks.
You're like, we don't need to know
Right.
that. Like, just
No.
hey, give us an update and have a little bit of transparency, and then we're moving on. And he can still talk, and he's still going to be on your show, JJ and Alex, every Tuesday, and it's great stuff. Like BYU fans have got to listen to those interviews because Connor's the best. And honestly, I mean, if after his NFL playing days are done, I hope he gets in the media because the guy's got a future in that space. But I just think that you're right. It just, we move on now. And that is one of the difficult things about football is that the world just does move on even after the injuries. But it's not a story where I compare it to, from my experience on the BYU beat 2 years ago, every week we were prying things out with Puka Nacua. What's the latest on Puka?
Or Jaron Hall. Same thing. Jaron Hall was, oh, man, how are you doing this week? No, I'll be good to go. And then we see him in the boot coming off the plane at the bowl game. Remember this whole thing? Right?
Yes.
I mean, like that. And so instead he comes on our show and would say, yeah, I'm feeling good. And we're like, does that mean you're playing? That's the hope. And I'm like, this sounds really freaking familiar now. If you're a Cam Rising fan, it's the same crap you have to hear. So I get it. Like, on the one hand, they can say whatever they want about their health. I will just say there's a reason people are like, I'm sick of this whole Cam Rising thing. Just make Isaac Wilson the starter, even though the guy's actually injured. And, by the way, he gives you the best chance if he's actually starting, Cam Rising does. But people just do this whole, you didn't tell me what's going on. I'm moving on from you. I'm divorcing you from my life. It's so weird. And I think that transparency probably is the answer here. And I'm not asking for, the whole injury report thing to get changed around. I just wish coaches would just say, hey, it's actually better for me because I'll just tell you what's going on with the players' blessing. Obviously, they need to kind of sign off on whether or not it's okay. You don't need to know if Connor Pay is going to be the starting center this week. We're not hiding anything from you. So the injury question this week was obviously one that was big. We had a lot of discussion about it. But, you and I, we have a dog in this fight, and that is we cover college football and college football players, and we love the transparency part. So – teams, it's not that big of a deal. Let's roll it out, man. Let's go.
And I think for someone like a Connor Pay or a Cam Rising, where they do have, actual lives away from football, I'm sure they get sick and tired of people saying, hey, are you going to play? Like, what's going on? Like, that's got to just, like, hey, it's all out there, man. Like I said that, my foot got hurt and I'm going to probably be out 6 weeks. And now he can go about his life away from, lifting weights and doing whatever he's going to do the next few weeks. He can just, do his thing. And whereas Cam Rising, he goes to an NIL event this week, and everyone's sizing up that hand.
Show me your hands. Yeah. And everyone's guessing. Everyone's taking – how many screenshots did you have to look at this week of that stupid two-finger brace thing? And people are like, RoboCop over here. I don't even think those are real fingers. Just like the stuff that you end up having to hear. And, it's funny in that way.
It's getting to the point, Alex, where you know what? I don't need to hear from our presidential candidates about, like, inflation. Give me a Cam Rising report.
Give me a real update.
I got to say, I talked to Kyle, and he's quite a guy, I got to say. His
finger's the best. Yeah.
He's got a Stonewall defense, and it's quite good, I might add. That's what we need.
My goodness. All right. We're going to take the break here. We'll come back. When we do return, we've got to chat about what this schedule looks like for this next week of the Big 12 because Utah and BYU back in action. The rest of the conference back in action, of course. And it's a far cry from the slate of games that we have this weekend. So glad to at least get past that one at the very least. We get our local teams playing again. So for Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry, we'll be right back. We've got one more segment with you. Stay with us on a Sunday. It's First and 12 brought to you by Macy's. Happy shopping. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.